everybody, this is Darren Wong from CarBuyer.com.sg, coming to you live from my living room under lockdown. Now today we're going to explain to you about the COE system in Singapore, what these three letters mean, how it affects you as a car buyer in Singapore. What is the COE? COE stands for COE Certificate of Entitlement. And that very simply means that in Singapore, you're allowed to own a car for a period of 10 years, drive it on the road, whatever. It's a license to own a car, very basically. Not a license to drive, but a license to own. Okay, so why does the COE system exist? That's because, Singapore is a very small place. Singapore, I'm going to draw a vaguely Singapore-shaped thing here. It's Changi Airport, rivers and all that stuff. So Singapore only has 724 square kilometers of space, and that's 196 out of a list of 257 countries. We often forget how tiny Singapore is. It's also one of the most densely populated places on the planet. Lots of freaking people. Yeah, there you go. So there are 5.7 million people here. I think that was the figure in 2019. That's roughly 8,000 people per square kilometer. So it's one of the most densely populated places in the world. I think it's third after Macau and Monaco. And as Singapore has become more successful over the years, dollars, trade, finance, big skyscrapers, petroleum imports, that kind of thing, industry. Money is not, generally speaking, the barrier to car ownership here. And so there needs to be some kind of barrier to owning a car, because if we had, millions and billions of cars, it would be a barrier. If you had millions of people owning cars in Singapore, we'd end up in a situation like Jakarta or Bangkok. And those places aren't small, but the sheer amount of people driving, owning cars every day leads to a lot of congestion. So I would say that, the COE system is actually very necessary for Singapore. So how does the COE control vehicle population? The COE is actually a part of another system. It's not a system by itself. It's actually part of the vehicle quota system. That is VQS. And that system actually celebrated its birthday quite recently, since it was introduced here in Singapore in May of 1990. So it's 30 years old already. And the VQS is the system that controls the car population here. So obviously the Q part, quota, means that you have a limit on the number of cars that can be sold. So what it means is there's a quota on the number of COEs given out, because you need a COE to own a vehicle. One COE basically equals one vehicle. And because you limit the number of COEs, limit in a box, you limit the number of vehicles that appear on the road every year. So the COE quota is actually determined every quarter by the LTA, every 3 months, and COEs are sold here twice a month. We'll get more on that later. So how is this quota determined? Chiefly, it's determined by the number of vehicles that are going out of the system, and those become new COEs. So the quota is determined chiefly by the number of vehicles being deregistered, or what they call scrapped. Not scraped, as some people like to say here. Scrapped, smashed, destroyed, on fire, stuff like that. Basically it means those things go out of the system. They go out of Singapore. It's another very badly drawn Singapore. So the car goes out, exported to, New Zealand, Australia, wherever. And once this guy goes out, he is no more COE. A new COE can come in. Ta-da! Now, in the past, the LTA actually allowed a small percentage growth in the overall vehicle population. But as of October 2017, that's been a big fat zero. So one COE out means one COE in, pretty much. Before you buy a COE, you need to know what kind of COE you need to get. And there are 5 different categories of COE that exist in Singapore. There's category A, that is Cat A. Hey! Cat A is not for cats. It is for cars with engines 1.6 liters in capacity or lower and less than 130 horsepower. So commonly that is known as, ow, stop that. I don't know how I'm going to do this if you're in the way. This is known as the mainstream car category. So I'm just going to draw a little normal sedan here. Normal sedan. Mainstream cars. Okay, so after that, after Cat A is Cat B. Cat B for black cat. Now Cat B is, as you may have guessed, is for cars with engines larger than 1.6 liters larger or smaller, or more than 130 horsepower. This is the luxury car segment, so I'm going to try and draw maybe a sports car. Sports car. A very ugly sports car which nobody will buy. Okay. So this is luxury cars. Although in recent years the gulf between the price of Cat A and Cat B has been less, and also the distinction between these two kinds of cars is also a bit muddy because of technologies like turbocharging, increasingly luxurious normal cars and things like that. Okay, after Cat B comes Cat C. Cat C, and Cat C is the commercial category. Commercial. So you have, buses, trucks, vans, whatnot, things like that. Lorries. Commercial. And we have Cat. Aye, stop that! Ugh. You stupid cat. Cat D, which is the fun segment, that is for motorcycles. Motorcycles. I just want to ride my motorcycle. Oh. And in recent times, this has been quite high because of the diminishing supply of motorcycle COEs. Lastly, there's Cat E, which is kind of the run-off category. It's called open category, open. So you can use it to register any one of these types of vehicles, any other types of vehicles, but traditionally it's been used to register Cat Bs because these are typically the most expensive COEs of them all. Okay, so once you know what kind of COE you need to get, you go bid for it. Okay, and how are COE prices determined? Now, COEs are sold every first and third Monday of the month in an auction. So it starts on Monday, ends on Wednesday afternoon. And how does bidding work? Okay, very simply, So these 3 guys want to buy a car and they need a COE to register the car. No COE, no car. COE quota is 2. Now, let's just say Jim's got a lot of money because he's friends with Elon Musk. Let's say he bids $5. And Tim spent all his money on fancy headgear and avocado toast, so he bids $1. Slim is a very sensible lady, very cool lady. She bids something conservative, maybe $3. Okay, so once bidding ends, what's going to happen? Jim will obviously get the COE because he bid high, $5. Sim is the deciding vote or deciding bid. She gets COE too. And both of them pay $3. Tim was outbid, so he does not get a COE at all. So car for you, car for you. That's how COE bidding works. Now in real life, the COE bidding system is open, meaning everyone can see the current $3 bid, and obviously they would bid more or less depending on how urgent the need to get a COE is. But in essence, this is how COE bidding works. Happens twice a month in Singapore. Okay, so that essentially is how COE bidding works here. But what do you need to know as a car buyer who is going to shell out money to buy a car in Singapore? Now, the main thing you need to know is that if you read about COE, for example, in our COE analysis on CarBuyer.com.sg, I don't know why it's a book, but yeah, okay, CarBuyer.com.sg, sorry guys. CarBuyer, CB.com.sg, okay. Now, if you read about, COE prices have gone up, COE prices have gone down, yes. But that is actually already done. It's already set in stone. It's in time past. That's the important thing you need to know about COEs. And if you're going to buy a car now, it's the oncoming COE round that will determine the price of your car. And because they're bid for twice a month, COE prices are subject to quite a lot of fluctuation every month. So month to month, some guys want to buy cars. You might get a new Toyota. How the Toyota logo looks like, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Let's say Mazda has a new logo. That's not a Mazda logo, it looks like something else. Never mind. But they are subject to fluctuation twice a month. First and third Monday of every month. And for some interesting facts, the highest ever COE here was $110,000 in 1994, December. 110,000 was the highest. That's pretty freaking high. If you factor in inflation in today's money, that's actually 150K back in 1994, which is freaking crazy. And the lowest was November of 2008, where it was just $2 because the computer went wonky. There was a system glitch. Oh my god, it crashed. Yeah, people still dream about that one. I know I do. And of course, if you're going to buy a car with this range of price fluctuation, that means COE prices have a big effect on car prices and buying behavior. And history shows this as well. Back in 2013 and 2014, the top selling car brands in Singapore actually were Mercedes and BMW. This one's easy. Mercedes and BMW, they took #1 spots in 2013 and 2014 as the best-selling cars here each year, which is crazy. And around that same period, Honda was actually outsold by Porsche. And why? Because people didn't want to pay, $150,000 for a Honda Civic. Paying, say, $500,000 for a 911 is a lot more palatable. So that's how the COE system can change buying behavior very drastically. Okay, that's pretty much it. Is there anything else you need to know about COEs? They only last 10 years, so it's arguable that you never really own a car for Singapore, in Singapore, in the same way that you do in other places, because you're kind of just leasing it. You're buying a license to own it for 10 years, and then after that, you got to pay for another one, or you got to scrap your car, as they say. So car owning in Singapore is really hard. Car buying is also really hard. Now, the COE system is very, very necessary. It's one of the barriers to car ownership here. It goes in some part to explaining why we have the highest car prices in the world. Not only that, they also fluctuate twice a month. But it gives people like me a job and things to do. So that's all for our CarBuyer.com.sg explainer on how the COE system works. If you liked this video, please hit up the website, subscribe to our YouTube channel. YouTube! Oh, Mr. You. YouTube! Visit our Facebook, like us, share. Hope you are taking care at home. Thank you.